everyone, welcome to episode 40 of Fear Me It's Brie. I forgot to charge my lights, so as I was setting up, the one that I normally use for the overhead pink stuff died. So I took my one that's normally like right here in this area, the whiter, more yellowy one, and I transferred that to this color. So if things look weird and dark, that's why. I'm also not wearing makeup today because I was busy this morning, didn't have a ton of time. I'm going to try and get this video out quickly, and here we are. So episode 40 is ramshackle, but I have my coffee, so we're going to just roll with it. Before I start talking about all the stuff we're going to talk about, I can be found at fearmeitsbre on Twitter and Instagram, where I am currently kind of arguing again with the red pill trad movement about what a wife of noble character and, a woman worthy of marriage actually is. So there's that, if you want to look at that. There's a particular influencer that I've ignored for about 2 weeks, and then I decided to comment on one tweet and my Twitter blew up. So I've been just looking at that every now and then. I actually have a couple of Bible passages pulled up. If I feel like I have time and I run through things too quickly, I will tag on what the Bible says a wife of noble character actually is. And if not, I'll save it for another episode, because we're going to be talking about the Trump indictment. Sorry, but we're also going to be talking about Alec Baldwin potentially getting charged for the Rust shooting again, because I guess they've decided that he did pull the trigger after all. And then we're going to be talking about, there is a story about how Kansas newspaper co-owner dead after police raids office home over leaked DUI of prominent residents. So we're going to look at that as well. And if we have time, maybe we'll look at the Tiffany Gomez video again, but really, it's not that important. It's not, other than the woman on the plane who said that mother effer isn't real, went on vacation, came back, found out she was a viral sensation, a meme, all the stuff, and then she made a, hey guys, sorry that I cussed out everyone on the plane, that was wrong of me, yeah, I'll try and do better next time, basically is the gist of the video. So, I don't know, was she just somebody who had a mental breakdown on the plane, and then she ended up going on her cruise vacation, coming back and being like, oh my gosh, now everybody knows who I am? Or was she somebody that was cleverly playing at, how can I get internet famous? I don't know, we'll see. It isn't even that important, so I don't even know if we'll go into it, but I do have it pulled up. So the first thing I want to look at today is the Alec Baldwin story from the New York Post. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee real quick. Also, I did get, this is not it, but I did get the Cast Brew coffee from Timcast. It's good. I've only tried so far the Mr. Bocus's pumpkin spice experience, and we got the K-cups of it. I'm sure it would be better if we got the bags and got ground or the whole bean and ground it ourselves, which is what I prefer to do, because when coffee sits with its grinds, it tends to grow mold. No matter how fresh it is, eventually it will grow unseen mold. So I like to grind it myself to keep that from happening, since we don't go through coffee crazy fast. I'll grind a little bit at a time, and then we'll use it, and then I'll grind a little bit more. So I think next time I might order some whole bean as well. But we got the K-cups, and I really enjoyed the pumpkin spice one. I liked it because, when you get flavored coffee and the flavor isn't super vibrant, and it's kind of like, I guess I can see where they were going with this, but I really don't taste it. It's not that way with this one. It's just subtle enough that it's not overbearing, and it's just prominent enough that it's absolutely delicious. So I recommend putting some cream in it, adding some maple syrup, and then you're great to go. My husband tried this morning. What did he grab out of the cupboard? I think he grabbed the Rise with Roberto Jr. one. I'll have to ask him how that was. I'm going to try that one tomorrow morning because we got 3 different kinds. So I'm going to try each kind. I tried one today, going to try one tomorrow, and then the next day, and I will let everyone know how I like them. But so far, I think that they are delicious, and I really like them. So yeah, I just had to give that quick coffee plug because give it an order. It's actually pretty good. Also, this light's at 40%. That's why I keep looking around. This one might cut on me too. We'll see if I can get through this before it does, charge them up and have them ready to go for when I record tomorrow. So first we're going to go to the Alec Baldwin story. Let me switch my camera over here. Alec Baldwin could be charged against Rust shooting after analysis finds trigger was pulled. So this article caught my eye. It came out today around 10 a.m. Alec Baldwin could be charged again in the fatal shooting of Rust cinematographer Helena Hutchins after a bombshell new gun analysis concluded the trigger was pulled despite the actor's repeated denials. Now, I don't know why that is such a bombshell revelation, because guns don't tend to just... Sorry, I'm just trying to adjust things. Guns don't tend to just go off on their own. Normally a trigger of some kind has to be pulled. And even though Alec Baldwin denied over and over and over again, no, I didn't pull the trigger, no, I didn't pull the trigger, triggers have to be pulled. So experts in ballistic and forensic testing based in Arizona and New Mexico on Tuesday released a report examining the Colt 45 revolver used on set and markings it left on a spent cartridge. What? Released a report. Okay, that sounded weird for some reason in my head. I wasn't processing it. The analysis found that the trigger had to either have been pulled or depressed. Although Alec Baldwin repeatedly denies pulling the trigger, given the tests, findings, and observations reported here, the trigger had to be pulled or depressed sufficiently to release the fully cocked or retracted hammer of the evident revolver, reads the report by Lucian Hag of Forensic Science Services in Arizona. The fatal incident was the consequences of the hammer being manually retracted to its fully rearward and cocked position forward at some point by the pull of or rewarded depression of the trigger, the experts continued. In other words, Alec Baldwin shot this woman point blank. The analysis on replacement parts to reassemble the gun, pieces of which were broken during the earlier testing by the FBI. New Mexico Special Prosecutor Carrie Morrissey handled the Rust case in an email Tuesday, saying a formal announcement on whether to file any charges against Baldwin is pending, but did not give a timeline. Baldwin, age 65, has maintained the revolver discharged accidentally after he followed instructions to point it toward Hutchins, who was behind the camera during the rehearsal while filming the low-budget Western. Baldwin insisted that he pulled back the hammer, but not the trigger, and the Colt fired, fatally striking Hutchins on October 21, 2021, at a movie ranch on the outskirts of Santa Fe. Special prosecutors dropped an involuntary manslaughter charge against Baldwin in April without prejudice, citing information that the revolver might have been modified before the shooting and malfunctioned. They commissioned the new analysis of the gun, along with other weapons and ammunition from the set of Rust, and wrote in a June court filing that Baldwin could still face charges. So that's very interesting, and I'm pretty sure that he probably will get off because that's just what keeps happening. But it's interesting that it took them to be this long to be like, oh yeah, guns don't just fire themselves. It was definitely fired. It's been almost 2 years. What did I just read? October 21st, 2021 is when all this went down. In October, it'll be 2 years from this. That's crazy. But anyway, I thought that was important. That caught my eye. I knew we'd fly through that article pretty quickly. I don't really have much to say on it other than Alec Baldwin is guilty. And what he deserves and what he will get are probably two different things, unfortunately, with how our justice system works in America right now. As we know, it's not a fair justice system because Trump is facing more indictments in the Georgia case, and we're going to actually seamlessly hop right over to that story. I am flying through stuff today. Maybe I'll actually have a short video for you all. So we'll hop over there. Hillary Clinton, I don't know why we're getting Hillary Clinton quotes, but that's Associated Press for you. Hillary Clinton says justice is being pursued in the Trump Georgia case. What to know? Trump's latest indictment may be the most sweeping yet. Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis has overseen the sprawling Georgia case. A law associated with mobsters and organized crime is central to the Georgia case, and that's the RICO thing that they've been talking about. A closer look at 18 other people charged alongside Trump in Georgia. Trump was charged earlier this month by the Justice Department for his efforts to overturn the result of the 2020 presidential election. A look at all of the investigations currently pending against Trump. Trump was also indicted in June on charges that he illegally hoarded classified documents. He did not illegally hoard them as president. He was able to declassify those documents, which he did. I believe Obama did the same thing. Bush did the same thing. Whoever who did not have the authority to declassify documents and store them in his home was Joe Biden, who did that. So where is the investigation into that? Why is it not as broad sweeping? What he did was actually breaking the law, it seems, whereas what Trump did is something that every president has done who has been in the White House. Anyway, for some reason, again, Hillary Clinton, justice is being pursued in Georgia case. In its joint statement issued late Monday, the top two Democrats in Congress, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, said the fourth case against former President Donald Trump, just like the three which came before it, portrays a repeated pattern of a pattern of criminal activity by the former president. What crimes? There is literally no evidence. There's no proof. There's nothing here. They have nothing to go on. Everyone keeps saying they're throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, and I like to say they're throwing poop at the wall to see what sticks. Schumer and Jeffries went on to urge Trump, his supporters, and his critics to allow the legal process to proceed without outside interference. Appearing on MSNBC on Monday night, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, convenient that she got to be on MSNBC to gloat about this, who lost the 2016 presidential election to Trump, called it a terrible moment for our country to have a former president accused of these terribly important crimes. And you know why that is a terrible moment for the country is because I'm not going to say Trump has done nothing wrong, right? He's done plenty wrong. We all have. Biden's done a lot wrong. Trump's done a lot wrong. Bush has done a lot wrong. Every man who has been president of the United States has been a deeply flawed person. They have their pros and they have their cons. What's the terrible moment for this country is the fact that the current frontrunner for the Republican Party, the one who's getting the most support, the most donations, the one who's leading in the polls, and probably, if all goes well for him, would be the Republican nominee in 2024, is becoming a political prisoner, just like what Putin likes to do over in Russia. Because I don't know, a majority of the people that are going up against him and putting these charges on him are his political opponents, in the sense of Democrats. Even the Republicans that are running against him are saying that these are BS charges and that they shouldn't be a thing and that this shouldn't be happening. They don't agree with Trump on a lot. They've been fighting on a lot. I think even DeSantis came out and they're not on good terms. And he came out and said, this is ridiculous. So just the fact that it's the establishment, Republicans, and the Democratic Party who are doing this just shows you. This only satisfaction may be the system is working. Justice is being pursued, Clinton added. If justice was being pursued, Hillary Clinton would not be sitting on MSNBC, but that's a whole other issue. Trump lawyers decry one-sided grand jury presentation. So not just Trump, right? There's like 18 other people being indicted, lawyers, staffer, like people who worked with him closely. Former President Donald Trump's legal team said the Georgia indictment resulted to a one-sided grand jury presentation that relied on witnesses who harbor their own personal and political interests, some of whom ran campaigns touting their efforts against the accused and or profited from book deals and employment opportunities as a result. I really need to have a drink of something. I'm having a hard time talking. I probably should have had water. Wow, too late for that now. The trio of attorneys also referenced documents that appeared on the Fulton County Clerk's Office website earlier Monday, as a grand jury testimony was still ongoing, calling it a major fumble that they said caused Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis to force through and rush this 98-page indictment. Yeah, I don't know about that. Trump calls Georgia case election interference, which it is. They're taking the front runner for the Republican Party and trying to keep it so that he cannot run his campaign effectively. They are interfering with the election. Former President Donald Trump and his allies were quick to critique the Georgia case against him. Can you imagine if Joe Biden actually had the investigations going into him that we should have going into him right now? They'd be like, they're interfering with the election. They're investigating a sitting president, an incumbent. That's what they're doing with Trump. He's not the sitting president, but he's basically an incumbent running again because he was president before Joe Biden. We have two. Can't say that Biden is a former president because he'll still be president while he's running, but you basically have the equivalent of two former presidents running against each other to see which one's going to come out on top. So it's very interesting here. And Biden is pushing very hard to remove his political opposition with dirty games instead of campaigning and debating and doing what you are supposed to do in a fair and honest election. In an email soliciting fundraising for his campaign sent out shortly after the indictment was made public Monday night, Trump called the Georgia case the fourth act of election interference on behalf of the Democrats in an attempt to keep the White House under Crooked Joe's control and jail his single greatest opponent of the 2024 election. Caroline Leavitt, a spokesperson for a Trump-aligned super PAC, said Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis was joining other prosecutors pursuing cases against Trump, with their only goal being to arrest Donald Trump and prevent him from being on the ballot against Joe Biden. If it wasn't about to enter an election year, I have a feeling it's not like they wouldn't be going after him, because like they hate Trump, they hate Vivek Ramaswamy, they hate Ron DeSantis, they hate anyone who's not on their side. They're going to be taking jabs and shots all the time, but I don't think it would be this fervent and this vitriolic if they didn't see him as a genuine threat. Because once he's out of the way, obviously they've gone after DeSantis and they've gone after Vivek, but once Trump's out of the way, and then probably DeSantis, comes up as the front runner, they're going to try something on him, and watch, they're just going to keep doing this to each candidate down the line and try and knock them all out. The super PAC, Make America Great Again Incorporated, also sent an email blasting Willis, who is seeking re-election, to her post next year, and recently launched a new website for using the Trump indictment to fundraise and campaign. Those statements mirrored comments issued ahead of the indictment by Trump's campaign, which also urged Willis strategically stalled her investigation to try and maximally interfere with the 2024 presidential race and damage the dominant Trump campaign. Officials within Trump's campaign also called the timing of the last coordinated strike by a biased prosecutor in an overwhelmingly Democrat jurisdiction not only betrays the trust of the American people, but also exposes true motivation driving their fabricated accusations. My words don't want to work, and I really hope you didn't just hear my neck crack when I did that, because that's like nails on a chalkboard to me when somebody cracks their bones. So if you just heard that, I'm so sorry. I've had a very stiff neck lately, so if I turn to look at my screen to make sure everything's going right over here, or I turn to check on things, look down at the computer, look up at the camera, something cracks and pops. So I should probably get it looked at. I haven't been to a chiropractor in over a year, but I really should probably go back. All right, let's go down. That ad just changed from like a furniture ad to a security ad. Who does that? Are you seeing this ad? Family social security numbers in a folder right on their computer. You're just asking to get hacked if you're doing that. Anyway, Trump and others charged given until August 25th to surrender. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis said former President Donald Trump and the 18 others charged alongside him have nearly 2 weeks to surrender. I'm giving the defendants the opportunity to voluntarily surrender no later than noon on Friday, the 25th day of August 2023, Willis said in a news conference shortly before midnight on Monday. Willis said she plans to try all 19 defendants together. She said she will ask for a trial to start within 6 months, but added scheduling decisions will be made by the judge. And the judge will probably say, I have a chance to get Trump and keep him from running for president in 2024. We're going to stretch that trial out so he can't run and he can't campaign. Willis said she said the defendants are charged with the conspiring to allow Trump to seize the presidential term of office beginning on January 20th, 2021. Several co-defendants charged on Coffee County actions. Several of the alleged conspirators, including attorney Sidney Powell, were charged for alleged crimes related to their actions in Coffee County, a South Georgia jurisdiction where prosecutors accused Trump allies of commandeering voting information that was the property of Dominion Voting Systems. Prosecutors said Powell was among those who aided that strain of the broader conspiracy through her contract with payments to a Georgia firm, Sullivan Stricker LLC, that carried out the alleged acts as part of Trump team's efforts to overturn Biden's victory in the state. Others accused Coffee County acts, including former election supervisor Misty Hampton, former Coffee County GOP chair Kathy Latham, and Scott Hall, a bail bondsman. They are charged related to the alleged Coffee County acts with conspiracy to commit election fraud, conspiracy to defraud the state, and conspiracy to commit computer theft, among other charges. 18 people will be indicted along with Trump in Georgia. 18 people were indicted alongside former President Donald Trump, including some of his closest advisors and lawyers, as well as Georgia-based attorneys and political operatives. So basically what they're saying here is, if you defend this man, if you try and do anything for him, you are next. See these lawyers that have been defending him in all of his cases that he hired to take care of things? If he tries to hire you to fight this, you're going on that list. That is, they're trying to put fear into the hearts of people so that they will back down and that they will maybe let this slide. They include attorneys Rudy Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, Sidney Powell, John Eastman, Kenneth Chesebro, I almost said Cheeseborough, but I don't think it's that, Jeffrey Clark, as well as Trump's White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows. Ray Smith, Robert Shealy, who are lawyers working for Trump in Georgia, also indicted for allegedly lying. Smith to a Georgia Senate committee, and Shealy to the Georgia grand jury. 3 of the 16 people who falsely claimed to be Georgia's Electoral College voters were indicted. David Schaefer, the then state GOP chairman, Sean Still, who was GOP finance chairman, and Kathleen Alston Latham. Trump campaign official Michael Roman, who was allegedly involved with the fake elector scheme, also was indicted. Others were charged, including Stephen Lee, William Floyd, Trevin Cootie, Scott Hall, and Misty Hampton. Racketeering among Georgia charges brought against Trump. In total, former President Donald Trump faces a total of 13 felony charges in the Georgia case, according to the filings made available late Monday on the Fulton County Clerk's Office website. The first among them is violation of Georgia's Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations, or RICO law, which is used to charge Trump and his associates for allegedly participating in a wide-ranging conspiracy to overturn the state's 2020 election result. This just feels like a big spy novel, or Soviet Russia, where they're just like, political adversary, get something on them so that we can throw them in the gulag for the next however many years. What was it last time? Trump was facing up to 500 years in prison. This stuff is ridiculous, man. Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis had been widely expected to use the law to charge Trump. There are other charges related to allegedly trying to get a public official to violate an oath, conspiracy to impersonate a public officer, conspiracy to commit forgery, and conspiracy to commit false statements and false documents. Trump was indicted for efforts to overturn 2020 election loss in Georgia. Donald Trump has been indicted by a grand jury in Fulton County for meddling in the results of the 2020 election, which he lost in the state. A grand jury voted Monday evening to bring a total of 13 felony charges against the former president, including violations of the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organization law, as well as violating his oath of office. A slate of others indicted along with Trump, including Rudy Giuliani, one of Trump's attorneys, as well as former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. The process played out on live television as cameras inside the courthouse staked out the clerk's office, where the indictment paperwork was signed, and walked to the courtroom, where it was presented to Fulton County Superior Court Judge Robert McBurney. I don't know. The criminal case comes as Trump leads the field of Republicans seeking their party's 2024 presidential nomination. It's his 4th indictment this year, following charges in 2 federal cases, as well as hush money case in New York. And that would be the Stormy Daniels porn star thing. What might I like? Shoes? All right, back to the story. Trump famously called Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger on January 2nd, 2021, and suggested the state's top elections official could help find the votes Trump needed to beat Biden. It was the release of a recording of that phone call that prompted Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis to open an investigation about a month later. No, I think she just wanted to get Trump and be the person who gets Trump, because that's what all of them want to do. What was it Ilani Omar, Elon, whatever her name is, who was like, or was it Rashida Tlaib, who was like, we're going to impeach that mother effer. It was all like smiling and weird when they were like, we're going to impeach Trump. That's all they want to do, is they just want to like get him out of the way, because for some reason, no, he's not a nice guy, but the vitriol for this man is so uncalled for. It feels kind of like in Batman v Superman, where like Batman's just like, do you bleed, or something like that, where it's like, that's how they seem like they feel about Trump, that he's this giant monster who doesn't bleed and isn't human, and like, you've got to just draw one drop of blood to show you that he, like Thanos, the part in I'm just going out there with the superhero references, but when Thanos gets cut on the face or something, I think like Captain America or somebody finally like breaks his skin and they see that drop of blood and they're like, all that just for a drop of blood, where it's like, oh no, the indestructible man is the indestructible force. It bleeds like Superman, like Thanos. Like that's what it feels like, where they're just like, we have to just destroy this unstoppable machine. And it's like, he's just a human man. Get over him. Trump has repeatedly accused Willis's team of haranguing him over what he described as a perfect phone call. In the days leading up to the indictment, Trump posted to his Truth Social site that Willis is using potential indictment of me and other innocent people as a campaign and fundraising con job, adding, all based on a perfect phone call as president, challenging election fraud, my duty and right. So, yeah, I mean, if she's up for re-election, she's like, ooh, what will get me reelected? If I'm the person that helps get Trump get put away, that's going to look great with the Democrat voting base. So that's what she's doing. I don't think she really cares. I love that her name's Fanny. And that's the end of that article. But anyway, we all know that it's bullcrap. It's ridiculous. I don't know why it's happening. And there we go. The mouse was not working. So we're going to look at the post-millennial story I have pulled up next. Again, I'm trying to fly through this pretty quickly because I'd like to end this video fairly quickly. I have a lot of stuff I need to go do that's not sitting in front of a camera. But I wanted to at least get something out tonight and get something out for tomorrow night so that I could have 2 videos out this week, and then next week I'll figure out what I'll do for that when that happens. So from the post-millennial, we have this interesting story from last week, I think, but I wanted to still bring it up because I haven't heard that much about it. And after we had the FBI raid on the elderly man where he was killed, I thought it was interesting that this also happened. So we're going to look at this as well. Kansas newspaper co-owner dead after police raid. Home over leaked DUI of prominent resident. So yeah, this came out August 13th, just for reference. The co-owner of a Kansas newspaper died on Saturday after law enforcement officers conducted an unprecedented raid on the paper on Friday, seizing computers, cell phones, and documents from the office and its reporters in what the publisher called an attack on the First Amendment. Joan Meyer, who co-owned the Marion County Record with her son, Eric Meyer, collapsed and died in her home Saturday afternoon after the police raid had reportedly left her stressed beyond limits. So she probably had a weak heart, and it probably just gave out. So let's see what it says about that. Eric Meyer, owner and publisher of Marion County Record, said the city's entire police force raided the paper's office after they allegedly acquired sensitive information from a source about a prominent resident to the newspaper. So who called the police and paid them off to do this? Probably that prominent member of the city or whatever it is. Police also raided the Myers' home, seizing both computers and internet routers, as well as taking photographs of Eric's bank statements, according to Kansas Reflector. Joan Meyer was reportedly in good health for her age, according to her newspaper, that asserted the police's illegal decision to raid the Marion County Record contributor to Meyer's death. Miss Meyer reported she couldn't sleep or eat after the raid, which had left her home a mess. The raid followed after police were reportedly tipped off that the newspaper was in possession of evidence which revealed prominent local restaurant owner Carrie Newell had been convicted of drunk driving but continued using her car without a license, according to Kansas Reflector. So all this because some rich a-hole basically was like, I don't want that information printed about me. Can you go take care of it? Probably paid them off. Why would you raid a 98-year-old woman's home? Like, okay, whatever. Maybe it's one thing to raid the business. Still not saying that's okay. But they went as far as the home? That's ridiculous. Eric Meyer, who taught journalism at the University of Illinois for 26 years, called the raid chilling and said it's the first time he's ever heard of police raiding a newspaper office throughout the entirety of his career. Meyer also spent 20 years at the Milwaukee Journal. It is going to have a chilling effect on us even tackling issues, Eric Meyer said after the raid, adding that will impact people giving us information. Emily Bradbury, executive director of the Kansas Press Association, called the police raid a direct infringement on the protection granted to journalists under the U.S. Constitution. Nobody's going to want to do anything anymore or report on anything because they're going to be like, are the police going to come knocking on my door for reporting information? Even look at January 6th. Some of the reporters who were there went to jail, got put in solitary confinement, got charged with things. And they were like, I was just here with a camera recording what was happening. I am press. And they still got in trouble for it. So who knows? An attack on a newspaper office through an illegal search is not just an infringement on the rights of journalists, but an assault on the very foundation of democracy and the public's right to know, Bradbury said. This cannot be allowed to stand. Meyer alleged the raid violates federal law, which provides protections against searching and seizing materials from journalists. Meyer said the raid violated federal law, which protects journalists from searches and seizures. Law enforcement officers are required to issue subpoenas for the material, but Meyer said the newspaper didn't receive any. Marion County District Court Magistrate Judge Laura Varr reportedly signed off on the search warrant, according to Kansas Reflector. Meyer reported last week that Carrie Newell had reportedly kicked out Marion County Record reporters from a public forum that featured Republican Congressman Jake LaTurner. Meyer's article prompted nasty responses from Newell, which he had posted on her personal Facebook page. Meyer said a confidential source contacted the newspaper and offered them information that Newell had been convicted of drunk driving and continued to drive without a license. Her criminal background may affect her attempts to secure a liquor license for her catering company. The source is allegedly Newell's husband. Oh, okay. I was figuring out if I was reading that right because it seemed funny. The source is allegedly Newell's husband that had recently filed for divorce, according to the Kansas Reflector. Meyer decided not to publish an article about the information they had received and instead alerted police about Newell's alleged criminal violation. After police had received a report from Meyer, officers reportedly notified Newell about the situation. She then publicly complained about the allegations during a city council meeting. A whiny woman. Why am I not surprised? Which prompted the newspaper to set the record straight in an article published on Thursday. Officers arrived at Meyer's house and the newspaper office on Friday and presented a search warrant allegedly identifying theft and unauthorized computer use. Why didn't they just call them and be like, hey, can you guys not publish that story, or try and dispute the story, or say, hey, that's not true. Hey, I'm trying to set my record straight. The newspaper was prompted by her complaining at a town meeting, basically. Why didn't she say something or call them? Why'd she have to, go nuts with the police? The search warrant also gave Meyer a 2-page list of items that law enforcement officers had been permitted to seize, which included computer software and hardware, digital communications, cellular networks, servers, and hard drives, password-protected items, utility records, and all documents and records pertaining to Newell, according to Kansas Reflector. On one hand, it's like, okay, whatever. They wanted the stuff that had to do with the specific story and case. But why everything else? Why are you taking everything from an old lady? The warrant specifically stated that any items used to participate in the identity theft of Carrie Newell are grounds for seizure. According to Meyer, the police injured a reporter's finger after an official had forcibly snatched her smartphone from her grasp during the raid. On Friday, Newell confirmed the allegations in a Facebook post under an alias name, writing that she had knowingly operated a vehicle without a license out of necessity after she had received a DUI in 2008, the outlet reports. So she's like, yeah, it's true. What the heck? Journalists have become the dirty politicians of today, twisting narratives for biased agendas full of muddled half-truths, Newell wrote. We rarely get facts that aren't baited with misleading insinuations. Newell said the leaked information was an attempt to smear my name, jeopardize my licensing through ABC, State Alcoholic Beverage Control Division, harm my business, seek retaliation, and for personal leverage in an ongoing domestic court battle. The Marion Police Department addressed in the incident Facebook post on a Saturday, informing the public that once more information is made available, the department believes the judicial system will be vindicated. Speaking in generalities, the Federal Privacy Protection Act does not protect journalists from most searches of newsrooms by federal and state law enforcement officials. It is true in most cases. It requires police to use subpoenas rather than search warrants to search the premise of a journalist until they themselves are suspects in the offense that is the subject of the search, the department said. The act requires criminal investigations to get a subpoena instead of a search warrant while seeking work product materials and documentary materials from the press, except in the circumstances, including when there is a reason to believe the journalist is taking part in the underlying wrongdoing. The Marion, Kansas Police Department believes it is the fundamental duty of the police to ensure the safety, security, and well-being of all members of the public. Well, you didn't really do that, did you? Because there is an old woman whose heart gave out, or whatever happened to her body happened because of the great stress you put her under. Good job protecting the public. This commitment must remain steadfast and unbiased, unaffected by political or media influence, in order to uphold the principles of justice, equal protection, and the rule of law for everyone in the community. The victim asked that we do all the law allows to ensure that justice is served, they wrote. Eric Meyer brought the Marion County Record in 1998 to prevent the newspaper from being sold to corporate newspaper chain. Meyer's father retired from the newspaper, which he began working at in 1948, according to the Kansas Reflector. So that's sad and kind of interesting. So I think I'm going to skip the Tiffany Gomez stuff because it's not really that important and it doesn't really... My video is very blurry. Hopefully everything's working like it's supposed to over there. But I'm going to skip that today. I think I'm going to end the video here because I need to start doing other things. So, hope everybody has a great rest of their afternoon. I will try and be back tomorrow with a video that will also be up at 6 p.m. EST. Sorry if this was a really fast fly-through of these things. Again, I wanted to get this video over with quickly because I'm very behind today and I've got to clean house and do some things before the weekend, and today and tomorrow are kind of my only days to do that. So that's what happens when you are a mom and you are also trying to do things like this and run a home. So I will see everyone tomorrow. Again, I can be found at fearmeitsbre on most of the platforms, and have a great rest of your afternoon.